Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Grumpy Dads podcast. With us, as always, is Chris.
Hi, we've got a great guest this week. It's Adam from Autism Care and Share. Say hello, Adam.
How are we all doing?
I am good, but I was going to moan that I'm having like a bad hair day, but then I realised that I'm kind of in a 33% minority because you guys have kind of got nothing, so I didn't really want to moan about it.
Oh, it's on. It's on, bro.
And
we just have better things to do with our testosterone, that's all.
That's it. And the fact I can't grow a beard, so I thought I'm not going to win this. So, shall we start with icebreaker antics? Basically, what I do is I scour the net, Amazon, eBay, and look for 1-star reviews. What you've got to do is guess the product based on the reviews. I will give 3 reviews, and if you guess it on the first review, you get 3 stars. Second review, 2 stars. Last review is 1 star. Duncan will be joining you, and like I said, you only get one guess. One guess, I remember this time, one guess. First review, horrible aftertaste and can't fit it in my mouth.
I don't know. I swear he just trawls the Ann Summers catalogue and comes up with stuff and then finds something else to fit it afterwards. Because yet again, I'm just drawn towards something that's wildly inappropriate.
It's not my fault that you, well, all the guests, in fact, are all thinking something else and what's actually on my sheet. That is not my problem.
I'm going to go a Donald Trump coffee mug.
Wow, that's well out there. Yeah, I mean, it fits, but it's not the right answer.
So that leaves a bad aftertaste.
Adam, what's your guess?
I don't know. Sticking with the political theme, I would say Boris Johnson's underpants.
Oh my God, horrible aftertaste and can't fit it in my mouth. I mean, technically they're true. But, yeah, would he be selling his underwear on Amazon? I don't know. But
I don't know. I hear he's hard up.
Of course he's not going to sell it on Amazon. That's clearly an eBay job.
Right, so neither are right. I'll move on to the next one. Pointless, too big, too sticky when I've licked it, and hard to bite.
I'm going to go a giant lollipop.
No, it's not a giant lollipop. It fits, but...
Well, apparently it doesn't fit. That's the problem.
Adam, what are you going for?
I don't know.
You can guess anything.
Pass.
Okay, we're on to the third review. Can't hold it. Can't put it in my mouth in one go. Love these, but this is massive.
Giant Toblerone.
No, it's not. What I'm going to say is what you said there, it's a giant something. It's a giant something, but it's not a Toblerone. And it's not from the Ann Summers catalogue.
Like a giant peanut brittle or caramel bar or something? Giant Werther's?
No, it's not. It's not. It's, I hate giving it with no stars. I don't know what else to say about this. You find it in sweet shops.
Gobstopper.
Yes! It's a gobstopper. It's 1 star. It's a giant gobstopper. That's what it was. So 1 star so far. I'll move on to the next product. First review. I packed this for the gym. Once I had it on, I swear I heard giggling.
I'm guessing some kind of lycra shorts.
It's a good guess, but no, I would have guessed that.
Swimwear.
Swimwear,
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm trying not to say boobies. Bikini. What they put on.
Booby bikini. Is that?
Yeah.
Leotard.
Leotard. That sort of thing.
I'm leading you down this road and I still know it's wrong. No, it's not a leotard. Literally shows everything. Unless you're ripped, do not wear. Showed every strand of hair.
Ooh. Okay, so I was in the right area of the body, I'm guessing.
No, you weren't.
Oh. Is it some kind of a rash vest or a sweat vest type thing?
I think we need to type out the rules because I don't think questions are allowed.
I'm answering as a question on the basis that my answer is some kind of rash top vest thing.
Adam, do you want to stab?
I don't have a clue. I'm still stuck with boobies.
In fact, I am going to give it because you only got 1 star in the last one. It is a breathable workout shirt. So basically it breathes as you go. So it doesn't make you sweat more, it keeps the sweat away. The final review on that one is too small, although it kept the sweat away from my skin. So we're on 3 stars. We need this pretty much straight away. For battery power, it's ridiculously powerful. Almost got concussion. Not Ann Summers either.
Electric toothbrush.
Oh, he's a gem, isn't he? That's right. That's right.
Whoa.
Electric toothbrush. That's fantastic. I honestly didn't think anybody would get it from the first one, but yeah, 2 final reviews on that. It's first time I used it, I went numb and bled, but I've used it a few times now, and I go numb and bleed. Stick with a named brand. And the last review was, can't feel my jaw, got a headache, gums bleeding, not even an option for a softer head. Your mind goes places, and you just can't help it. But Adam pulls it out of the bag, so 6 stars. Big thank you for coming on today, Adam. The show itself, the guests make it. So from me and Duncan, we want to thank you for taking the time to come on and speak to us. We want to discuss, and it's something that you put on Twitter now and then, is your weight loss journey. What can you tell us about your weight loss journey? What was your heaviest weight, say?
I was 23 going to 24 stone. I went to the doctors, and the doctor was like, the year before he was 22 stone, then 23, and then the following year I'm like 20, and I'm like, next year I'm going to be 25, sat here in this chair, annual checkup, 25 stone. The following year I'm going to be 26, 27, and I'm sat there thinking, what's my aim here? Do I want to be 30 stone? Do I want to be 40 stone? And that was really what started the thought process, that just that little bit, just sat there with the nurse, checking my blood pressure, giving me all these tablets, all these prescriptions for my blood pressure that was avoidable. This happened at around the April time. And rewind a little to Boxing Day. So we would have been Boxing Day 2017. And I had some mouthful. I just had a massive Boxing Day breakfast. Sausages, bacon, egg, black pudding, hash browns. I'm getting ready for that. The turkey's on. Do you know what I mean? Those pigs in blankets, the lot. So I go up, down some mouthwash, just had that big breakfast. You're going to make sure your teeth are nice and fresh. You've just had 6 sausages, man. So I have a cup of mouthwash, and then all of a sudden it was like a volcano in my stomach, just this eruption. And I'd had it before. My stomach was then like a bowel for the next 3 months, like a big solid steel bowel for months. And I kept telling the doctor. And at this point, there was a lot of anxiety going on, even though I didn't know it then. So every time I went to the doctor, that he said nothing was wrong, I became more anxious. So I returned to the doctor, and eventually he said, we've got to see what's going on here. So he sent me for an endoscopy where they put a camera down.
Yeah.
And this was on a Sunday, the Sunday before Easter of 2018. So it's taken nearly 4 months to get this appointment. So, and they basically said that you have silent reflux. You have something called Barrett's esophagus. So I have a very small tongue of Barrett's in my throat lining. And basically after many, 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 many years, you get a buildup of acid. It changes the lining in your throat, which becomes similar to the lining in your stomach. I had a very, very small single tongue of Barrett's, which is just a very small piece of skin. And what they do is they take a biopsy of it to see whether you've got cancer. And they said, look, you need to think about starting to lose weight. So I went back to the doctor, and the doctor said the same. I've got silent reflux, and I need to start thinking about losing weight. And he said, Weight Watchers. And at that point, like I say, my anxiety was getting really, really high. And it was around that time that I realized that I was an anxiety sufferer. I was diagnosed around the same time as having anxiety. And I recognized that I've had that my whole life, as well as OCD. I'm thinking, there's no way I can go to Weight Watchers. I can't say hello to the postman. I can't say, chatting to you guys now is the most I've probably done in a long time. So going out the door now, if the mailman or someone said hello to me, I'd struggle with that. I'd spend days overthinking, did he look at me like that? Why did he look at me?
Yeah.
I'm an anxiety sufferer. It's what we do. It don't make sense, but it's what we do. And so I thought, no way. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, within the next 3 months, I want you to lose a stone. So I started to lose weight. And within those 4 weeks, I lost 3 stone. I was averaging around £7 a week. I went back to the doctor. He asked me how I did it, and I said, very simply, I stopped eating all of my old foods. Any of the foods I used to eat, I stopped. I stopped eating the sausages, the bacon, the pizza. I looked in and researched about esophagus. You can't have anything tomato-based. You can't have anything vinegar-based. You can't have onion, raw onion. There are pages and pages of food that you cannot eat. So I stopped eating them all. That was nearly 3 years ago now. So what I did is I had 2 Weetabix for breakfast. I had a cheese sandwich for dinner. And then I had a very low calorie meal for tea, which is a 230 calorie meal. I have maintained that for nearly 3 years. And
Wow.
so in between those meals, I will eat a banana or a packet of raisins. And when I'm really stressed and anxious, I will eat lots of raisins. So I don't buy the big packets. I buy, you know, those multiple packets for the kids where they have a little
lunchbox.
Yeah.
So I get those.
Yeah.
That way I can limit what I'm putting in my mouth. And they're very important because they're 56 calories a box. See, that's another thing about weight loss. You know how many calories are in everything.
Yeah.
You know, that tablespoon of sauce and all that. I still have those. I have those moments all the time. I want to overeat all the time. There is, and being what we do as parents and as carers, people don't talk about the stress about. I mean, I was up at 3:30 this morning because my son, we all know Ryan, I talk about Ryan a lot on Twitter. I was up at 3:30 this morning because my son was extremely upset about not knowing whether he was going to go to day centre. With a very anxious, upset young man that's biting himself, stressed, and that's what we do. And on the way back, I used to then go into a Greggs and pick up a bag of sausage rolls, and then a bag of donuts, and then have my dinner, and then have my tea. And I was averaging around 60,000 calories a week. Now I'm averaging around 10. This is one of my old tops.
Whoa.
What size is that, Adam? Does it
4XL.
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 Wow.
And it was tight on me at the end. I'm medium.
You're a medium. Wow.
Medium. I was a 46-inch waist, tight, and now I'm a 34.
That's unbelievable. Mate, I totally relate to this because I had to go through a similar journey myself. And I'm going to have to apologise because I don't work in stone. The Australians, it's all metric. So I was just shy of 200 kilos. And I had a similar thing. I had the experience. My dad, who's always been my strongest critic with my weight, shall we say, from a caring perspective, but it was always something that he'd come and visit, actually. I was obviously living in the UK at the time, and I'd had to go for a blood test. And I got a phone call. We'd sat down to dinner. We're at this restaurant, and I just ordered, and I'm not kidding you, it was called the Big Grill. And it was like an 8-ounce steak, pork chop, a lamb thing, and a whole bunch of stuff on this plate. It was the most unhealthy thing on earth. It should have come with like a Surgeon General's warning on it for what it was going to do, heart attack on a plate. Yeah, this phone call came in. I was like, oh, it's the doctor. I've got to quickly. And it wasn't actually a phone call. It was that I missed the call and there was a voicemail. I'm sitting at the table just listening to my voicemail, and it's just, oh, hi, Mr. Casburn. It's Dr. Jones here. We've got your results back, and you have type 2 diabetes. This is on my message, and I'm like, oh.
Let me finish my steak.
Yeah, that's right. That was a big wake-up call because, like yourself, I'm the full-time carer, so my wife's quite poorly, and my daughter's autistic, ADHD, and PDA. And it just suddenly hit me that if something were to happen to me, who's going to take over? And there's no one. I just suddenly thought, you know, in my 40s, do you see blokes the age 50 my size?
Yeah.
And the answer is no, you just don't. And I did similar to you. I ended up going on what they call the Oscar program, which was like a sort of teaches you tricks for weight loss, I suppose, and how to eat more healthily. Things like chewing slower, and
Yeah.
they call it the 20-20-20 rule, which is you should have on your fork should be no bigger than a 20p piece. You should chew 20 times, and it should take about 20 minutes to eat your meal. Learning tricks and stuff like that. I mean, I lost 80 kilos in that time. It's one of those things that the difference in my mental health is what really hit me. And that was the bit I wasn't expecting. I love the gym, and that's part of what sucked as well, because all the gym closed with lockdown. So I was doing heavy weights and really getting into things on that front. But it was the mental difference for me, where I was getting myself quite low. Once I was in the gym and once I was feeling better about myself and my appearance, the mental difference that it made for my mental health was astonishing. I was really surprised.
I think for me, it had the opposite effect. Around the time that I started losing weight, I then discovered that I was an anxiety sufferer and OCD sufferer. When the weight went, the mind started wandering to all those things that I never knew was there. I was diagnosed as having anxiety and OCD when I was 46, but I knew that I'd had those things all of my adulthood and childhood. For me, the last couple of years have been about coming to terms with that, I guess, in a way. When my doctor asked me how I was able to lose the weight, I simply said I put OCD into my weight loss. I'm a tight ass. If you've got something for free, you've got to use it. And if you've got OCD why would I go somewhere and pay 20 quid a month for someone to tell me to be repetitive? Why would I do that? I've been doing that all my life. I've got something for free, I'm going to use it. And I'm going to use it because I know how to use it because I've been doing it. I don't want someone telling me how to do that in front of 30 people. And no disrespect to any of them. But do you see what I'm saying?
Some people actually need almost a support network to lose weight. Others, like yourself, it's no fault to the guys that need a support network.
No, exactly right.
Others can just do it off their own willpower. What I'm wondering, though, is while you said that as you were losing weight, your mental health wasn't as, like Duncan said, his was good and yours, did you say it deteriorated or?
No, I guess there was some sort of cliched awakening where I realised that I've been suffering with mental health my entire life.
And would it have made it worse? Because obviously you haven't really got both sides of how it would have panned out, would you? Because would you have been diagnosed with, say, anxiety and had all those things, had you been at your biggest weight, would you have coped worse than what you are on your weight loss journey, do you think?
I think there was the payoff where I had to come to terms with the fact that I was an anxiety sufferer and I was someone that was suffering from OCD and my mental health. And I think I had to come to terms with that at that time in order to do something about my weight. And whether I was doing something about my weight to do something about my mental health, I don't know what came first, to be fair. I really don't. I was suffering with PTSD as well.
With your weight loss, for me, it's not that I've yo-yoed. It's been quite a small difference of my weight goes up and down. I've always been in terms of sort of in my 30s. I'm 37 now. I've been between the weights of 14.5, 15 to 18 stone, and I'm just coming down again. When I'm on my way down and I'm eating healthy and working out, I've always found that it's such a big positive to hang on to. When you get up in the morning, you go through that silly thought process, you wake up and you kind of weigh up what your day's going to be. And it was always a stepping stone for me that no matter how bad the day was, oh, you know what, I'm starting to get into great shape. I feel great for it. This is an achievement. Did you have a similar thing when you did it, or did you not see it as a positive?
No, not seen it as a positive. I still see 23 stone, 24 stone every single day. I still call myself fat. I still call myself lazy, stupid. I do all that. And when I'm training, that's what I call myself. That's where the drive comes from. When I've lost a stone, why haven't I lost 2 stone? When I've lost a pound, why haven't I lost 2 pounds? There is that drive there that I can't stop. I'm glad of it. I'm glad that it's there in moments when it's fighting for my son and being that unstoppable force that my son needs. I'm glad that it's there. But there are times when I wish I could switch it off. But feeling positive about the weight loss, never. I can't allow myself to be positive about that weight loss, because the moment I do, I feel as though I would put it back on.
Yeah. So you stop fighting, that you feel that you've almost lost the battle, or not fighting anymore. But from the post you put on Twitter, because Ryan was on the same journey as you, wasn't he? How did he take to all this? I mean, because obviously routine is extremely important.
Yeah.
Did he take exactly the same journey as you?
No, nowhere near. I lost 10 stone in 8 months, so from the April to the December.
Yeah.
Ryan lost 6 going on 7 stone over a nearly 4-year period. So a much slower, much gentler approach. So I would swap, you know, the King's Mill bread, the big loaves?
Yeah.
So I'd swap those 800s for the 400s, the smaller slices. I'd swap out the high-fat jelly for the low-fat jelly. Just little things like that. Big boxes of cereal, little boxes of cereal. Same brand, same type, all those things. They have to look and feel the same. All you're doing is reducing the size so slightly. That takes time. You cannot just introduce that to the table. You pull it on the table, you leave it on the table. It could take months before a change would happen. So a much slower process. But the guilt that I felt when Ryan was 19 stone, the responsibility I felt lying there at night thinking, I've made this young man 19 stone. I took blame and I took responsibility all the way through with my weight. And my wife says that I'm too hard on myself, and that's probably true. But at the end of the day, Ryan is a very fit and healthy young man now, and I was very careful to involve the doctors all throughout, doctors and nurses all throughout Ryan's journey, more so than mine, because Ryan matters to me. I love that guy. But the thing is, when you are in your 20-odd stone, like I was, no one comes up to you and goes, well, actually, you're overweight. They don't directly. They don't. Do you know what I mean? But when you're losing weight, like when I was 13, 14 stone, people would come up and go, you need something to eat. You need food. You're not eating enough. For the love of God, I'm trying to lose weight. What's the matter with you? And you'd get people offer you food. When I was 20-odd stone, no one tried giving me a bloody burger. I'm 13 stone trying to lose weight, and you get people trying to fatten you out. It's like, for the love of God, you know? And there's not enough talk in this country about the connection between mental health and obesity. And there's not enough talk about the connection between carers and obesity.
Did you get the thing? It happened to me loads. I kind of got the opposite of what you've experienced there, in the sense that I started losing the weight, and people would go, "Oh, so what are you doing? How are you doing it?" Oh, well, you know, and you explain. And then everyone suddenly has an opinion on how best to lose weight.
Yeah.
What I was doing was working, and suddenly everyone's like, "Oh, you'll find this much more effective." It's like, no, this is working. Shut up and leave me alone. I don't need to start that because this is working. Will you please stop trying to switch my path? And people trying to be helpful, but by the same token, it's like, just, you've already commented that you can see the weight loss. You commented that I'm looking much healthier. Why are you trying to interfere with what's working? Just leave me alone. Let me do it.
The comments that you get from people can be really disheartening. And like I say, going back to Ryan, pre-corona, we did this and we achieved it over 3-4 years. I can't begin to tell you how proud I am of him. And that as a young man with special needs, with learning disabilities, I'm so proud of him, and how hard it was for him to lose weight and to achieve that and maintain that. It's just phenomenal. But
You've been so inspired by yourself. You guys obviously have a really special relationship there, because it's something you've taken on board, and he's been inspired by you. And I think that's something to really take home with you, because what I really respect from everything you said, and it's something I really love seeing, I see it a lot with stuff I do, when you see these people who are themselves autistic or have a neurodiversity of some description, they then use those things to empower themselves rather than it becoming a millstone. They make it a weight lifting exercise. I've got friends who are autistic and running their own businesses, and they do so because, like yourself with the OCD, they've got hyperfocus, and so they channel the hyperfocus into the manufacturing of jewelry or whatever, and they use it for that. Others who just have this thirst for knowledge, and so are learning so much more about their own neurodiversity and then sharing it with other people. And when I see people embracing neurodiversity not as a disability, but rather it's a cliche, but it's that whole, not a disability, a different ability, when they're taking and actually using it to empower themselves. I love that. You taking your OCD and going, I've got this thing, but by God, it's a free gift, so I'm going to use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, why? It's like, it didn't come free with a magazine. It didn't. Do you know what I mean? I didn't subscribe to it. This is what I've got. But the ironic thing is, if it was free with a magazine, and if it was for sale in a shop, someone would go and buy it. But if you see what I'm trying to say, the fact that we need to use what we've got, and if you've got that drive, and when it comes to like things for like the social care element, the housing element, the education, all those things that Ryan requires, when it comes to that, by God, I'm glad I got it, because it means I can research and research and research the hell out of things. At the moment, I'm doing a universal credit claim where they've cocked up, and I've spent weeks and weeks and weeks going through all the court judgments and trying to look for errors, trying to look for faults. Not because I want to, because I've got no goddamn money. Because you get kicked down so low, and you get so many bruises on you, and by the things. And I don't want that. I just want one day for someone to say, yeah, you know what? Today's the day you aren't got to fight. And but then if that day was to happen, then I'd probably be like, my mind would be searching for something to do. Do you know what I mean?
I think you should sell that service, because I think a few people will take you up going through court cases and everything else. I can't hang on for more than 30 seconds if I'm looking at something. And it was a reason why I didn't do particularly well at school. I'm a genuinely smart guy, but if something doesn't take my fancy and I can't hold my attention, then I'm done. It doesn't do it for me. It needs to be entertaining. It's one of the reasons why the education sector, I'm so critical of it, because it's so rigid. It's only to this blanket, this is how you teach your kids. It's not. And I was completely failed by the education. They didn't look at my development as a child when things were new to me, maths, English, science, all of these things that were new to me. And I was in top sets as soon as I started the secondary school from preliminary tests. And then as I went through and I got to my last year, and I was in bottom sets. You can't tell me that even Joe Bloggs could look at something like that and go, what went wrong? What was the reason for this child who was top has gone right the way down to the bottom? There must have been something. Even looking for some sort of head injury or something. Nobody bothered to even look. It was a case of that's how it is. But yeah, I think you could sell that, mate, because I can't stand doing the research. And it drains parents. It drains parents.
And it drains me. We all talk about fighting, and we all talk about what we put in. What we don't talk about is the fact that when you're on that goddamn phone, when you're doing all that research, you've got children playing in the corner, not with their parents. You've got a child upstairs calling you. You've got to put the phone down. You've got to run up the stairs. You've got to come back down the stairs. You've got to run up the stairs again. You've got I mean, I've got school runs to do. Do you know what I mean? I've got all the things that everyone else has got to do, and I've got a child sat there on their birthday playing with their toy, and I'm on the phone trying to fight universal credit. And we don't talk about that. We don't talk about the hours that have lost when we have to do this. I was on the phone, Universal Credit, yesterday on the way to pick Ryan up. I was on the phone for over an hour. I went through chapter and verse and court case, and I spoke to the woman. And at the end of the phone call, she turned around to me and she said, "You are brilliant." She said, "We could do with someone like you working for Citizens Advice. And I don't want this to come across the wrong way, and I don't want it to be disrespectful for anyone. I want me. I just want once for this to be, do you know what I mean? And I know that comes across selfish, and I'm all for helping people, but
No, it's not selfish, mate, because I've always stood by this statement, is you can't take care of other people unless you've taken care of yourself first. There's no way you can help someone if you're not in a state to help them in the first place. So we've got to look after number one. Once we've looked after number one and we've got that win, we can then share, help.
Absolutely.
I did a whole episode on this on PDA Dad, which is about self-care. And I use the example of it's when you're on the planes and you get the safety talks and the stewards get up and they do the whole, exits here, and blah, blah, blah. And one of the things they say is that when the oxygen masks drop, be sure you put your own on first before you apply it to your kids. And the reason for that is because if you're incapacitated, you're useless. Yeah. So you need to take priority so that they can rely on you. And it's the same with all this kind of stuff. If you're not looking after yourself first, you're useless for everybody else.
I think I'm going to take that. That's much better than mine. That's a great example. I like that. That's really, really good.
I'm a man of metaphors.
Parents, we don't think of ourselves. We don't. I don't know another way, and I think all carers would say the same.
We've been made selfless. That's the main aspect of looking after, and in some respects, even parents with neurotypical children, it may be on a smaller scale, but certainly for SEND parents, the biggest trait we have is we become selfless. We can't become selfish. We have to be selfless. Otherwise, we won't be able to do our job properly.
If you're working for Universal Credit and you're supposed to be helping people with that, it is your responsibility to listen.
Yeah.
Because if you're not listening, you're not going to be able to help. It's why politicians need to spend time listening. It's why Boris needs to shut the hell up with his wobbles and wibbles and actually listen to what people need and want. Because that's his job.
I genuinely believe he does listen. I think he chooses not to act on it. And I think that's the right with most of the Tories. I hate getting political again, but the fact is Universal Credit was created for the poverty-stricken or anybody that claims to get by on the minimal they can possibly give away. That was the whole thing for it. It wasn't to help people. It was basically to give away the bare minimum that they could get away with and keep it going. And that's what Universal Credit is. And you look at all the sanctions, all the cases where it's been appealed and they've won, which is an incredibly high percentage. And you can see that it's not fit for purpose and it's just dragging people along. And like you said, you made a perfect example, Adam. The kids are in the corner and you're on the phone for an hour and a half, listening to the most mind-numbingly frustrating music they could play. Use some common sense. If they're watching, anybody in Universal Credit watching, in fact, any company, if you've got a pissed off customer on the phone, don't put on crappy old music because you will piss them off even more.
And stop interrupting every 5 seconds to tell us that we're valuable and to please carry on holding. Just shut up and let it be on hold.
I want to switch it up. If you've got one film in which you can erase your memory that you've watched, what film would it be?
Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD. I've spoken about it on here before. It is the worst film I've ever had to witness.
No. I'm not sure you understood it. So if you could erase a film from your memory, so you could watch it again.
Oh, I will go with Fight Club.
Fight Club. I like that.
When I first saw that, and that sort of the point of there was that point of realization. It was before it was revealed in the film. For myself, and I know for a few people it was the same. There's a point you get to and you go, hang on, and you start cottoning on. So I won't do a spoiler alert, but when that twist comes, and it's like, bam, and it's one of those films that just, when I first watched it, I was hanging on the edge of my seat for every moment of it because it was just so.
If you haven't seen that movie, you deserve to get spoiled. So that's the reason. Go have at it. You deserve.
It's Brad Pitt at his best.
Yeah.
It's Edward Norton at his best. It is David Fincher, the director, at his best. And there was so many subtle tricks in that film. The way they introduced Tyler Durden and the way he flashes in every now and again, and why is that? And you don't pick it up the first time. But
yeah, you can't watch it once, can you? There's no way of watching it once, because every time you go back, you suddenly realise. And it's even the quickest of things as well, isn't it? It's almost like a frame. And what was that?
It's literally a frame. Some of it is a single frame. Yeah.
What about you, Adam? What would you erase from your life so you could watch again?
The Outsiders.
Ooh.
What's The Outsiders?
1983 movie with the then Brat Pack, they called them. So it had Tom Cruise in it. It had Patrick Swayze, Emilio Estevez was in it. It had all the upcoming actors. It's based on a book by S.E. Hinton. It came out in 82, 83.
Why have I never heard of this?
The closing song is by Stay Gold. Stay Gold is the music at the end. Oh, it's worth it for that alone. It's about a character called Pony Boy. Amazing film.
I need to watch this movie because I'm big. I loved Patrick Swayze growing up. It's something that I'm going to have to look for because I'm a big fan of Patrick Swayze and Tom Cruise, and I can't believe I've never seen that. I love 80s movies.
This is where I'm going to stick my neck out there. I can't stand Patrick Swayze and I can't stand Tom Cruise, so it's one I've always kind of not bothered with. It's just me. It's one of those things. If I don't like someone, I find it hard to eradicate that from the actual. It's a fault in my own personality, and I'm quite readily open to admit that. But if I don't like the actor, I find it very hard to.
No, I know what you mean.
All right, it would be silly at this present time not to discuss it, but American election. I mean, I want to ask who will win, but I mean, it's knife's edge. I think it's an empty question.
We should qualify this with currently it's Thursday. Even though this will be on the weekend, we'll probably know the answers by then. Right now, we don't.
Will it bother you who wins? That's it will bother you. What about you, Adam? Are you interested in the American politics?
Yeah, I don't want Trump to win.
What do you think of the candidates? What do you think of Biden and what do you think of Trump?
Oh, the candidates, both of them are as bad as one another. Biden might be slightly stronger than Trump in some and vice versa. I think, when you consider the size of America and all they could find was those two, it's shocking.
Yeah.
I go with Billy Connolly on this. The desire to be a politician should bar you from life and being allowed to be one. I watch, we've discussed this before, I watch a lot of true crime documentaries and stuff like that. And I was watching a really interesting one that was actually observing that to be in a position of power for something like the United States or even Great Britain, you actually have to be a psychopath. Because the decisions you have to make as a president, as a prime minister, actually are really sometimes challenging, especially if you're in a war situation. And they give the example of one of the questions they ask to establish psychopathy in patients is you're in World War II Germany, you're all hidden under the floor. There's a group of you and a woman has a baby. The SS are upstairs searching the house. And the baby starts to cry. What do you do? A person with a a psychopathic tendency will say, well, you killed the baby because everyone else is going to live. And you kind of need to be able to make those kind of detached decisions in a position of power. But the result is that you get these people, and Trump's a great example, with this complete narcissistic complex to it, to the point that I'm not winning, therefore it's obviously rigged. It means that the people who are in power have a certain moral flexibility anyway.
It just seems odd that something like that I do believe, like the analogy you just said, he would be one that would say, kill the baby so everybody could live.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't bother him. He's made the decision, it's cut, that's fine. But if somebody turned around and called him a fat orange baby, he would hit the roof.
Yeah.
That bothers him. But killing the baby to save the rest of the people, nothing. And you have to have that.
Completely he's just
attached. You
self-attention.
The thing is Biden, it's no secret, he's a centralist. He's not a socialist like the Republicans have made out. My issue with, I am disappointed with Biden, but that's the best that they can offer. It's almost a popularity contest. And Biden, the way he's come across, he has come across as slightly frail. He hasn't come across as a man of power or health. He sometimes stumbles his words. You need to gain the confidence of the people that are going to vote for you. And the fact that they've sort of ushered Biden forward, it was kind of disappointing. You wanted to see, like Obama. I mean, the guy, it was a popularity contest, and I think he did particularly well in his term, but he was likable. He was sharp. He was fit. He was healthy. He spoke with a swagger on him. He seemed like a president. And then you come across Trump, and everything about him. If I knew that as a person, I'd avoid him at all costs. Narcissistic, nasty, will cheat, will lie, it's just all the fundamental values that we hold that are true, that make a good moral person. Trump is completely absent of them all. And
what gets me, Clinton in power underwent massive scrutiny because he had a single affair. Trump going in was already a philanderer, was already, there's videos of him being peed on by two prostitutes. I mean, for crying out loud. And yet he gets into power. What's happened in 20 years that we're so readily accepting cartoon characters as world leaders now? I don't get it.
It's the same as the Tories, and it is with Trump. We've become numb. Think of everything that the Tories, Boris Johnson, Trump, compared to previous governments that have almost toppled them, like you said with Clinton, they've done so much wrong that we've become numb to what they do in the future. And it has to be something catastrophic for them to be ushered out the door. But they've tied it up. They almost act like viruses.
We'll say Judge Judy for president. I think that would fix it.
Yeah, that might work. Right, we have got another feature that I've come up with, and it's called the worst conspiracy theories. And basically, you've got to rate them out of 10 with how much they annoy you and why. I've got to come up with a better name for that if I'm carrying this on.
Conspiracy capers.
I think that works. Like that, Adam?
I would have gone with crap conspiracies, but...
Crapspiracies!
Hey, I like it, but it's sometimes the profanities, and sometimes my kids switch on the video. All right, we'll start. So the first conspiracy theory, how much does it annoy you out of 10 and why? The Earth is flat.
It's up there. 9, 10, 8, 9.
Why does it annoy you so much?
I think it annoys me. People think that it's flat. The other side of it is, if people want to think that it's flat, then that's fine. Do you see what I'm saying?
Each to their own, but I would say that probably your score doesn't marry up that. And
no, that's what I'm saying. I've been middling then. We're 5, 6.
5, 6. Okay, Duncan, go on. You were shaking your head at the start. So, what's your score?
As an Australian, I find this one highly offensive because clearly I should have fallen off the bottom of the earth a long time ago. To be honest, it's only a 2 or a 3. It's the most idiotic of the conspiracy theories because it's just so easily disprovable. But it's like, if you're stupid enough to believe it, you go right ahead, vote Trump, and we'll all be
COVID is just the flu. I felt horrible saying that. Even though it's just something that's on here, I felt horrible saying it. I instantly feel like my IQ is in single digits.
It's stuff like this that really does bug me, and it goes back to, I don't know, it might be one of the questions coming up, so I won't say which one it is, but there are certain theories for causing autism and stuff like that that really do, and it all comes from this stuff of, oh, it's just nothing, and it's, no, if people are in hospital, if they've had to set up hospitals worldwide to deal with a pandemic, it's not the damn flu.
It's right, and this kind of goes back to what Adam was saying. In fact, what we'll do is we'll get Adam's score first. How much does that annoy you, that COVID is just the flu?
10, really annoying.
I think the reason why it annoys me so much, and yeah, likewise, I'm a 10 on this one, is Earth is flat. Think that all you want. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
COVID is just the flu, and you're walking about not wearing a mask and trying to influence others and breathing and coughing on people. Now I've got a problem. Because you're directly affecting me and others that I care about. So it's making me angry now.
Grumpy dad.
I'm talking about it, and then I can feel my blood pressure rising. Okay, let's get ourselves even more angry because I didn't think about this. Everyone is on the spectrum.
Oh,
Lord.
massive. Like, out of 10, I'm going to go for about 1 million.
I don't really want to discuss this one. I think it's self-evident. Anybody that's going to watch this video, if you say everyone is on the spectrum, we're all a 10. If you're not a 10, you should be. But anybody that does says it, you're a fucking idiot.
But you can't say crap.
No, it's the anger. I do swear a lot when I become angry. I'm going to get into something a bit more light-hearted though. That now we're coming down now. We live in the Matrix.
I like it purely because it would explain an awful lot. It doesn't affect, I don't believe it, but you know, hey, it's a nice one. I enjoyed The Matrix as a film, and hey, if I can work out how to manipulate it for my own good, then great.
It is. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, probably the same, sort of middling, 4 or 5. If people want to believe that and it makes them happy, yeah, let them carry on. It's not going to harm me. Do you know what I mean?
I do like these type of conspiracy theories because you want to delve in and see why they've arrived at that point, why they've said it. And you're kind of secretly hoping that it makes sense and there's something in it. There never is, but it's a favourite film of mine, so I really want it to make sense. But obviously, conspiracy theory. Although, who's the scientist? DeGrasse Tyson, is it?
That sounds like a boxing match between Mike Tyson and Canadian high school.
I'm kicking myself because I do see quite a lot of his work. But basically, he said that there is a chance that this is all sort of an illusion. There is a simulation, and that there is a small chance that this could be just a simulation for all of them.
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Thanks so much to Chris.
Thanks a lot, mate. And a big thank you to Adam. Really hope you've enjoyed yourself today, mate.
No, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm really sorry, but I've got to rush off.
No, it's okay, mate. No worries.
Absolute pleasure. You've been a legend.
Nice to see you both.
Thanks.
Please do comment on this. We want to know your conspiracy theories. We want to know what you think of the election. We want to know all that we've talked about here. Chuck it in the comments, and please do like this, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you again next time.